Alrighty, boys and girls, here today on the 15th of July. It is Thursday of 2021. SPY a little down day today after touching all-time highs once again. Feels like a repeating phrase on that one, touching all-time highs. Some market internals for today that I think I'll start sharing each day now too. NASDAQ, total dollar volume today, 160 billion. NYSE, 220 billion. In total dollar volume. OTC markets, 2,043 million. Interesting little stats there. Just keep a watch on it on the side, see if OTC market starts to pick up at all or anything changes on those. I think that's a little interesting tidbit that Scans offers. Awesome day today. This was my best day trading yet. Started off with NLSP. Well, it actually started off with I decided to sleep in my extra hour that I normally would catch in. Of course, missed another morning dump setup at that time frame that I shoulda, coulda, woulda been up had I chosen to wake up early. So I was kind of a little pissed about that, seeing that pop up the one day that I decided not to get up early. I swear they got cameras in this room. They're watching my every single move. But lucky enough that NLSP was able to provide the same, if not an even better morning dump opportunity. This is it's a Swiss biotech actually. Float of 6 million, no reported short interest. A little bit of a large fee to borrow shares. Yes, it is a 6 million float, but it was still like I was paying $25 in total, I think, for 500 shares for a $2,000 position. So I was able to, and I jumped the gun early on the entry. I saw these red candles here and the kind of indecision, and I so lucked out that this thing decided to drop off and didn't want to break highs in this green candle, which it so easily could have done because I was jumping the gun like a mother, just not in anticipation, maybe in a little bit of anticipation or intuition from seeing these so many times now, but I did not stick to my rule set. But kind of looking back at it today, I did save myself a lot of slippage. I do not think this was so fast when we actually did break VWAP of how quickly we went from a 4.3 to 4.10 all the way down to 4.08 and then just continued to fade off the rest of the pre-market. So I don't think I would have gotten anywhere near a 4.3 average, which is pretty nice and awesome. But it's not a habit I want to get into, and I don't know if I've got to start. I know too that the thought process in my head when I was taking this entry was, well, I kind of know too when I start taking bigger size positions, I may have to start scaling in at some point and guessing tops. Essentially, that's really what this was. I was just guessing the top on there, which is so risky and catching a fallen knife and that. But yeah. Loved being able to luck out on this one, that what I was seeing and this choppiness and indecision. We did have a little fake out here because I was watching it already at this point. A little bit of a fake out double step here to try and crack a low when it was already at this point, which wouldn't have been an awesome morning dumper percentage opportunity, but I certainly would have started playing it. Broke through that and continued to show strength, so I feel like the more and more that it does that it just fakes out, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, in a sense of eventually it's got to dump when it goes up so much. Famous last words. But so yeah, and that my thought process was, okay, maybe sometime in the future I'm gonna have to start scaling in if I'm taking huge position sizes of maybe $50,000 size. But that's not where I'm at today, and that's not what I should be focused on, and that shouldn't be an excuse for jumping the gun too early on this entry point on that one. But lucked out, and I don't want to make that a habit, but it worked out well today. I don't think I could have gotten anywhere near 4.3 with an intro entry. Stopped out of 300 shares at 10% from that 4.3, which is another thing that I kind of have to factor into when I don't get a perfect fill. When I do get, if I got a 4.2 or even if I got a 4.10, I got to be thinking, man, I should be trading this as if I got a perfect VWAP crack, looking at 10% from that initial VWAP crack. Not so much because I was all excited. I'm like, oh yeah, 385 I set my order at. Got out. I think I had 400 shares that this first entry was, and I took 300 off at this point. So looking at that and saying, okay, that's great, 385, got it from there, just doing the calculation of 90% from 4.3, but then kind of realizing, oh gosh, if I would have to be waiting even more, or kind of risking, quote unquote, trying to wait for even more pull, even just to take off that first 10% from where my entry was. So it's just a little bit of a thought, or I don't know how I really want to play that or attack it. If I do end up taking some slippage and I stay disciplined and wait till that actual crack, but like this one today, that could have been very easily, even if I was trying to take a large position size, bringing up this example again, there would be no way I could get anywhere above 4.2 with a big size for how quickly that thing was breaking under. So then I kind of have to be factoring in, well, where do I want to say is my price level to take 10% from? Is it the VWAP crack? Is it if I start scaling in early like I did on this one before an actual VWAP crack? Just different things to factor in and continue to learn about this specific pattern. But awesome to see this chart just continue to fade. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Even past the previous trading day's close. Huge percentage opportunity on this one. My second exit, my final exit of the last 100 shares, stupid fat finger. I had in my head of looking for 3.3 from just looking at a whole dollar, a $1 move from 4.3 to think, yeah, I think we could get to 3.3. So I had my order in here, and then we were getting down to like the 6s, and I said, okay, I'll just go ahead and put in that 3.3 order for the 100 shares just to not have to keep looking at the chart. I can keep it in the corner on the watch list or whatever, but I'm not going to get emotional about it, especially like it did for what it did in this little green perk here. But I freaking fat fingered in, and my order window said 4.3, not 3.3. And I exited immediately at 3.62. Not the freaking end of the world, but this is also another reason why I stay away from the illiquid OTC penny stocks, because now I can kind of semi-factor in my stupidity in some of these, and still having enough liquidity to not being filled at something crazy like immediately getting jumped to 4.3 just from that stupidity of that order entry. But all the factors coming in line with this one today, even from my mistakes, even from my jumping the gun early, huge profit left on the table. Even in the position size of what I took, I could have taken more. I still had 100 shares left to short of a $500 or a 500 share lot that I secured. Just exciting. Awesome, awesome. This was $200 win, $207 win, but yeah, $27 in fees for the short, still okay. Awesome, awesome starts in the morning. Then after this trade, I was totally free and clear in my mindset for the rest of the day. Was kind of set on looking to paper trade, either XELA or DTSS or VERB, which I'll get into the charts later, but I feel like I was just kind of wasting and taking stupid little paper cuts trying to trade those long NASDAQ tickers, or trying to go long those NASDAQ tickers that are just the big movers, big percentage movers that the red names in the chat are crushing. But I'm just like not really focused on it. So I initially I logged everything out of that Thinkorswim and then logged into the paper trading account. And then as the market opened, it was just like so the actual feed was just so choppy and untradeable that I had to log back out of that and come back into the real one. So I gave up on that paper trading attempt. But then was able to see LCLP, the OTC mover from yesterday. I think it was 1,800% yesterday in total on that awesome, huge first green day. Again, didn't close the most awesome. Had a pretty hard pullback after that push into the close. And I was expecting a little bit of dip. And I think a lot of other people too were jumping in on the short side thinking, okay, this move is over. Here's the panic dip buy. This thing could just continue to plummet. It's got so much more room below. Look out below. Similar to how I was reminded of this a while ago when I pulled up immediately as I saw that sticker, it reminded me of, and I was thinking of it, it's ADHC it was, from April 20th, of how we had pretty awesome daily. Of course, it had this breakout level as well too as a technical level, but two huge awesome green days, so different in a little bit from LCLP, but again, didn't close the most awesome. A little bit of a pullback into the close, dumped pretty hard, and then ended up ripping. Huge. Like, you could call it a dip and rip, but I think that's more for listed stocks anyway. And I think Sykes made 5K on this type of trade. To be honest, I don't think this is the exact one I was thinking about, but I think for sure this is the one that Kyle was thinking about getting short and looking to pile in and risking this level 2 of, and that's kind of what I never factored in before I even started shorting, is that, oh my gosh, there's people looking to get in on the short side for what kind of could be an awesome long trade, and that's how these long trades end up working out. So now back to LCLP. Again, just awesome, and carrying over that mindset from the NLSP trade was just watching it in such a free spirit. I knew that I didn't have to trade anything for the rest of the day. I was just kind of set and being able to sit on my hands and do nothing. And then seeing the price action, watching the level 2, I just kind of noticing, oh, okay, there's kind of a bottom here at that whole round level of 25. Okay, I can see some more bidders stepping in, and looking at the volume candle here. Oh, there's a lot of volume stepping in. And it was like the chart forced my hand to push the button on the buy signal. And I was surprised that I got filled, because I got 9,000 shares, I believe, 9,000. 9,000 shares, yes, at that like 252. And it's been a while since I was able to actually get a dip buy through this active trader window, Michigan stupidity of Thinkorswim. But I felt like pretty soon right after I clicked the button, which I was kind of surprised and leery of as well too, that, oh, maybe this thing's going to go quickly against me. So already on edge with that one, but perfect, beautiful dip buy, dip and rip in a sense. Immediately got to 10%. Within a few seconds at that 27 mark, continued to keep moving. I was I was kind of ready to start pushing the sell button around the 3s, but then I told myself again, oh, we've got so many technical levels to opportunity to shoot through. We've got the open price, which is also kind of the close price of yesterday. We've got this technical level here. We've got the high a day from yesterday. There is so much more upside to this if the volume starts stepping in and shorts are getting squeezed. So I held on to it and held on to it, and was kind of ready to sell at any amount of weakness, and saw us turning at like 3.5, and I got a perfect exit at 3.5. Started falling off a little bit, and I thought it was going to be the end, but quickly escalated those shorts out once again and went all the way to 569. Beautiful, beautiful opportunity in this OTC ticker. Didn't really do that much the rest of the day. Just kind of fell off and faded. It's not really like a first. You could consider this a lot of weakness, and tomorrow especially we'll be looking for more panic into a dip buy. But even like this here, not a really awesome or great example of what a dip buy should be, even though this is your 10% opportunity here from these levels. Even though it's volatile, that doesn't mean you have to trade it, or that the setups can be there, in a sense, is what I'm trying to say on this one. But great kind of free money, and really, I don't say free money, but awesome trade that reminded me, God, this is how trading should be and should feel. That you don't need the money, you don't need the trade. I didn't need to be in this whatsoever to try and, I need to make this amount of P&L today, or I need to be trading at least every single day. This was just totally, the chart forced me into this with how the 25 level was holding. Being able to take those sweet profits when they were there is totally awesome. This was a 38% move, even from my entry, which was pretty insane how much I left on the table. But I know that for sure with a bigger position size, I would have been more comfortable leaving some on and even taking on those extra OTC fees. But with what size I was trading, that's a $226 position size. So I mean, $88 in total on that win. Even for that small position size, But yeah, with this one, I was not willing to take on those extra OGC fees just for that small position size. And learning lesson again, but great learning opportunity at that one. Awesome, awesome, awesome. LCLP. That's all. That was all. So then back to now DTSS and XELA. These were the ones that I was kind of looking at as the golden chicks of the hour. They had some pretty nice volume yesterday. DTSS, thought we could have continued on today. DTSS had float of 6 million, so low floater. I thought we could have squeezed some more with how well it was holding here in the pre-market too. Of course, it was volatile, but squeezing, and testing, I thought we could have easily magnetized this whole round number of 6 after this pullback. So watching this kind of like a hawk for any amount of basing at any technical level. Stocked it on the tick, which shows a little bit more clear what I was seeing of this whole round number of 5. You know, I'll go back to the 1-minute chart here. It doesn't look that awesome or great around 5. It just looks indecisive and kind of ready to dump. But looking at this on the tick, you can see there's a lot of prints, a lot of trades going off around this whole number. And it's kind of like putting in higher lows a little bit of a upper rising wedge. But then, of course, it just ended up breaking that and fading the rest of the day. And I think that was the nail in the coffin after that whole round number crack. So that was, I took like 10 shares on that, not a huge position. I really shouldn't have even traded, maybe just watched it, because I need to be taking actual like $200 size minimum for what I need to be focusing on, because that's just going to put me so much more in the mindset of making sure I'm taking actual trades with meat on the bone, that I'm not just kind of fluffing around or pretending to see things and saying to myself, oh, well, I'm experimenting, I'm getting data. No, I got to stick to my guns, stay focused on what I'm learning, because if I'm trying to do everything at once and saying, oh, well, I'm just taking in all the market, I'm trying all these things, and just taking little tiny dollar or penny paper cuts, I'm not really doing myself any service. And that's what I did a lot in the hot market of 2020, and I think I kind of wasted a lot of time by just going crazy with all the golden goose eggs that were available and not just limiting myself to focusing and studying one chart, one level 2, and keeping my eye on that. So just a fader. Didn't really work out today. Kind of a little baby version of what happened yesterday. But that was that one on DTSS. XELA, awesome short opportunity. Had this one on the short watch list from the get-go after this like parabolic move and then big red day yesterday. Obviously, a lot of other people were thinking the same thing. It was gapping down, showing weakness, declining VWAP. I was no way, shape, or form I didn't have any day trades anyway to short this, but no way I would have shorted it anyway. But awesome opportunity. You can see the technical level bounce at that 3.8 mark, which was kind of also that pre-market resistance a little bit. You could have gotten short right away at the open, or even got short again, added more here at this test and fail as it tried to come back above VWAP and then hit this resistance. Awesome short opportunity there to the downside with volume and liquidity to supply you there. And then, yeah, just choppy. As it's continually proven in these past days, just hard to perfectly read or stay comfortable the whole time and trying to guess tops, guess bottoms. But when they start to prove themselves, then you eventually know at these hard technical levels that it kind of wants to follow. But VERB, this one was on my long watch list. It had a great daily going parabolic move, had this technical level to break through as well today, showing some great strength in this pre-market. Again, pretty choppy like XELA, and it knew it wasn't going to be this awesome move that I would have been comfortable holding a big position size in through my actual trading account. Saw the kind of dump here, fading more, big volume right away in the morning. Kind of forgot about it, looked at other stuff. I think I was still trading LCLP, obviously. But knew in the back of my head on the follow-up watch list that this one could be a nice opportunity today to the upside, especially with the float it has. I think it's fairly low float. No, it's a 54 million float. short interest of 6%. But the daily looks awesome, and again, that technical level of the breakout level, and you can see the volume coming in today too in order to push that through. This was a great long opportunity, even just selling in this, trying to get a dip and rip opportunity here, maybe getting in on the VWAP reclaim or even this high a day break as well. Selling into any amounts of these strengths, there's your 10% move right there, right away in the morning. And then if you're playing the long game, you can continue to chop yourself around, but still have the upside on this one today. Pretty awesome to see. YVR. Chris played this one long at a perfect fill of like 186, 185, like the dead bottom here, 186 I think he got. And he said it was holding too well. I don't see how this was holding well with it pulling back. I can see him saying that because of the rising VWAP as well too and growing volume. But I don't know how apparent it would have been at this time frame if you're looking at it right there. I don't necessarily call that holding well, especially with the declining volume, but immediate surge out of nowhere pretty much, all the way up to beyond 10%, way beyond the $2 whole mark. Had a halt actually at this point, 705 to 710. And kind of watching this one for how well it closed strong here and holding VWAP now in the after hours, but this one I'm going to be starting to apply the trade share size per trade indicator and see if this has anything, any correlation or any real weight at all. So just for example, yesterday it had an average share size per trade of 400 shares, which equated to about like $600, $625 per trade in dollar volume. Whereas today, the average share size per trade was 535 shares, which equated to about like an $1,100 position size per trade. So we'll see what it does tomorrow, and I'll continue to keep other parabolic movers, what they decide to do, of if they start gaining volume, gaining dollar volume per trade each and every day, and then if we see any resemblance to it starts to wean off or the smaller hands start to be the only ones there on average in the closing final days of a run-up, then that can be a great indicator of, okay, maybe today might be the day to go short, or all the big hands are finally out and then they're using today or the next day to finally get out of their position. Could be a good indicator, and I'll certainly keep a watch on it. But YVR, awesome one today. Fundamentals on this one: 13 million float, 5% reported short interest of the float. No found news catalyst on this one today. Just kind of started spiking on nothing. But yeah, keep a watch on it for the next few days. Blinn, little bit of a, oh, I got these over here. A little bit of a morning dump on this one today. And actually, yeah, I traded it long the other day, so I wasn't really focused on it as a morning dump because I recognized the name immediately. Overhead is pretty nice. The volume wasn't really there to consider this a morning dump, and I don't really consider this a morning dump anyway because it's not really in the biotech sector. It's not really a one and doneer. It's not, it just didn't have the awesome qualifications for me to consider it a morning dump. 5.7 million float, but obviously it ended up doing it today in that perfect entry signal of the VWAP crack. This one was another fake out here at this point. Ended up cracking VWAP, reclaiming, retesting that, not testing that pre-market high. But I think if I was to have traded this, maybe shoulda, coulda, would have been stopped out at just below my entry point of that VWAP crack signal, which of course seen here was just the algorithmic stop out to get a bunch of other people who had their risk levels at that same point too. Price quickly pulled back under VWAP and continued to fade the rest of the day. So that's just becoming a sign to me too that maybe I do need to take a little bit more slippage for my risk level. If I say my risk level is my entry point, and the entry point is the crack of VWAP, and I get a 7.4, maybe I should say, okay, I'm willing to take 7.6, because if it truly, if I'm going to take that risk level there, because it could be everybody else could be piling in with their same risk levels at the same point, with such an easy indicator to spot like that VWAP. That could be something to play off of in the future. If after having taken profits and then I'm readjusting that risk level for the remaining shares, that could be something to factor in as well too, and especially with having a lot less shares on the table, I could certainly be able to risk that much more, even maybe from that pre-market high too, just to see if everybody else has their stops at that point. I could be willing to take just a little bit more since I already have profits on the table in that circumstance. Anyway, that's a long-winded explanation of that, but kind of a morning dump, but not really something I would probably take on if I saw that same type of setup again. AMC, a little bit of a first green day bounce. It's been falling off the past few days. You can consider this a first green day also, but today kind of the same thing after these 1, 2, 3, 4 red days. I think some other people in the chat played it, but immediate surge right out of the gate. A little bit of an opportunity there. MITQ, I saw this one pulled up on my scanner in the morning. Not too much history on this ticker. Of course, it's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days previous since its listing. So just kind of been selling off hard this whole time, and this was maybe a first green day setup. Saw it kind of hovering around here, showing some good percentage moves in the pre-market. I was thinking to myself, ooh, this could be a squeezer. It's got a relatively low float of 3.6 million. No reported short interest. And then of course it just did. It's huge squeezes, huge spikes. This is 1, 2, 3 different halts. And then as Chris actually noticed here on this one too, it halted on the ask, which was a little bit interesting to see. I don't think I've watched them that closely to try and identify that, but to me, if it's holding on the downside, it's holding because there's a lot of sellers stepping in, so it kind of proved itself anyway for how much more it faded down after the halt. But that was a little interesting one today. Arlo and ATHE. These are the ones that I mentioned a little bit yesterday of was that OXBR that kind of had the same thing where they will spike in the after hours from the previous day, pull back to VWAP, and then end up just fading the rest of the pre-market and the rest of the market hours the next day. ATHE was just more this pre-market that it started spiking, and it just continued to fade. Not necessarily a hard, this was 4 in the morning Eastern time. Around this time frame that you would have had to get in on that entry signal of a VWAP crack, but fading that all the way. Not the quickest mover, of course, not the most percentage opportunity, but that was another one that the percentage was there, just fading all the rest of the day. CIDM had this one for a short setup, I believe. I had this on the short watches from yesterday. For this gap up here, and kind of the same theory as that ARLO and ATHE, that this would just kind of pull back to VWAP and then just fade the rest of the day back down to this like 1-1 mark. Not that again, not that great of a percentage opportunity, but you can watch this and track it as well. Ended up just spiking and being kind of volatile. This pre-market, it's got a float of 128 million. So short interest of 2%. Interesting one on that one. News this morning of they reduced their debt by $3.5 million from a different loan, which is kind of good news. But looking at this one short, you could have said this was like a little dip here, and then I know Art of War was trading this one long in the afternoon here, thinking it was going to continue to spike some more with where it was moving, especially on the daily. You could, yeah, with these huge volume bars here, you could consider this a little bit of overhead resistance as sellers trying to, or as bag holders trying to get out. It's just kind of choppy. I just kind of keep it on the follow-up, and that's about as far as I would take it on this one. I really don't even care about mentioning on here, but I'll continue to keep talking about it so I get the experience. ACRX, similar thing, first green day short. Didn't continue the volume that it had yesterday for the standalone candle, and in the pre-market, and then price just kind of fell off this day here too. So that's all I got on this one today. Yeah, my best trading day as of yet of $250. Pretty awesome, especially when I'm looking at these and I know there's just so much more room for opportunity from the small position size that I took on initial entry on this one, the fat finger mistake on this one for the second exit for LCLP, how short I cut that profit opportunity, or how much more I could have left on if I took a bigger position. Just, oh jeez, awesome, awesome, awesome. Excited for the next few days, few weeks, few years, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.